My sister's husband died on a winter morning. That's how she said it. Short. Controlled. Like repeating it too often might make it real. After that day, nothing in our family felt balanced again. Grief shifted things. Responsibilities moved quietly from one person to another, the way they do when no one wants to argue. Every month, for years, I sent my sister $200. Not because she demanded it. Not because anyone forced me. But because when someone loses their partner, the rest of the family fills the space. Financially, emotionally, silently. And because I loved her. Before the story continues, if you've ever helped someone out of love and wondered later whether you were seeing the full truth, you may want to stay. You can subscribe if you'd like. These stories are told slowly, with care, for people who understand how loyalty really works. My sister, Alana, was always the softer of the two between us. Growing up, she cried easily, trusted people too quickly, married young, loved deeply. Her husband, Victor, handled everything. Bills, planning, decisions. When he died, suddenly, unexpectedly, she seemed to shrink like a structure removed from a building that wasn't meant to stand alone. She told me Victor had debts, old business loans, money he'd borrowed from friends, things she didn't understand but felt responsible for. She said she was embarrassed to ask for help, so I offered $200 a month. It wasn't anything. Some months it hurt. I skipped vacations, delayed repairs, said no to small comforts, but every transfer felt like proof that I was doing the right thing. That family still meant something. Time did what it always does. It softened the edges of grief but left the shape intact. Alana never moved, never seemed to improve financially, but never got worse either. She always sounded tired on the phone, always grateful, always careful not to ask for more, which somehow made it feel honest. I didn't question it. Because you don't investigate someone you're protecting. The first crack didn't come from Alana. It came from someone who didn't know our story. A neighbor of hers. A woman I met while visiting one afternoon. We were standing near the mailbox when she said, casually, "Oh, your brother-in-law's back in town." I laughed. "No," I said. "He passed away." She frowned. "I could have sworn I saw him last week." I laughed again, louder this time. Grief makes you defensive. But the comment stayed. That night, I replayed the conversation. The neighbor hadn't sounded confused or cruel, just certain. I told myself it was a coincidence, someone who looked similar, but once doubt exists, it grows quietly. I started noticing things. Alana's voice sounded lighter lately. Her stories didn't always line up. She mentioned renovations once, then later said money was still tight. Small things. The kind you ignore. Until you don't. I didn't confront her. Not at first. I did what careful people do. I watched. I paid attention to details I used to skip. I checked public records. Nothing obvious. Then I remembered something Alana had once mentioned offhandedly. Her security cameras. She'd installed them after Victor's death. I asked her casually if they still worked. "They do," she said. Too quickly. A week later, I visited again. She went to the store. I stayed behind. I didn't feel proud of what I did next. But I logged into the camera app using credentials she'd once shared with me, back when trust was uncomplicated. I scrolled through old footage. Nothing. Then I saw him, standing near the back entrance, hat pulled low, hands in pockets, alive, breathing, waiting. I watched the clip over and over. I recognized the way he shifted his weight, the way he checked his surroundings. That was Victor. Not a look-alike, not a coincidence. My hands shook. My sister's husband hadn't died. He had disappeared, and I had been paying for it. If you're still listening, pause for a moment. Stories like this don't begin with betrayal. They begin with trust. If this feels close to home, you're not alone. You can like or subscribe if you want, or simply stay. These stories are meant to unfold slowly. Once the truth cracks open, it doesn't stop. I hired a private investigator. Quiet. Professional. Within days, the picture was clear. Victor had staged his death, collected insurance money, moved assets under false names. And Alana? She knew. The monthly payments weren't for debts. They were income. I didn't cry right away. Betrayal doesn't feel dramatic at first. It feels hollow. Every memory replayed differently now. Every thank you. Every pause on the phone. I wondered how long she'd planned it, and whether she ever felt guilty, or just careful. I didn't confront her immediately. I needed proof. Not for revenge. For clarity. I recorded conversations, collected bank records. Let her talk. She slipped eventually. People always do when they think you're still blind. I told her I was struggling financially, that I might need to pause the payments. Her voice changed instantly. Urgency replaced gratitude. Fear replaced affection. That was enough. The evidence went to the authorities. Victor was arrested 2 weeks later. Fraud, identity falsification, conspiracy. Alana wasn't spared. Courtrooms are quiet places. They don't offer closure, just endings. I watched my sister avoid my eyes. I didn't look away. The money didn't matter anymore. What I reclaimed was something else. My judgment, my dignity, my sense of self. Family betrayal doesn't come loudly. It arrives disguised as obligation, as loyalty, as love. If you're listening right now and something in your life feels slightly off, trust that instinct. You're not cruel for questioning. You're not disloyal for seeing clearly. If stories like this help you feel less alone, you're welcome here. New stories are shared gently, with care. Thank you for listening.